Hi guys. Today we're going to work on how to do an extended response question. So one of the things that extended response questions have is that they're essay questions. That means that there has to be a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I have to have a beginning for everything that I'm going to write. That beginning is kind of introducing my main idea. If you look at this, it says here the first paragraph introduces your main idea or position. It begins with a topic sentence or kind of explains what your answer is going to be like. Then you have a middle, which is really the answer to your question and expounding on it. Now, this is where you give information, examples, details that support the idea or position. This is where you're going to show that detail. The ending, it's kind of a summary of your answer. So you can restate your topic sentence. Now you have to be careful because when you restate your topic sentence, that doesn't mean that you write the same thing, but you say the same thing with different words. So think about this. I'm going to open a new document and I'm going to have a question and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. So here's my question. I'm going to copy the question and I'm going to give you an example, a very simple example of what a fork can be like. So, I'm sorry, the computer is a little slow. Okay. Many cities around the world are located near large rivers and lakes or near an ocean. Why do you think it is so? Provide three or more important advantages that waterways offer cities and explain why each advantage is important. Give examples. Now, in most cases, you actually have some reading that you will do. In this case, I don't have a reading, so I kind of have to come up with answers of why I think this is happening. But in reality, you would have an article, and that article would give you exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So when I do this, hold on a second. I'm going to have an introduction. So this is where my big statement is going to go. I'm going to say, I believe since it's a think, it's not something I read. I believe that many waterways are close to big cities because the founders of the cities benefited from having water nearby. Okay, so this is a very simple statement. I don't have to write a full paragraph, but I'm actually addressing what I think. So that's my first. And remember, a paragraph can be a sentence. If you've ever read a book, sometimes just the dialogue itself, it's one sentence long, and that is counted as a paragraph, okay? In this case, that can be a paragraph. Then my step number 2, we read that this is where you give information, details, where you give examples. So I'm going to say big cities were found where farms before they turned into a metropolitan area. Because farmers looked for places with large bodies of water to grow their crops. For example, and then I can give an example of a place. For example, Louisville, Kentucky is near the Ohio River. See, I forgot that. It's near the Ohio River. Many plantations were in what is today a city full of buildings. So I sustain the fact that the Ohio River is close to us and we are the biggest city in Kentucky. And it makes sense because we are closer to water. Then I can say, since there were many jobs, many farming jobs, lots of people moved and overpopulated the area, turning it in what is today a metropolis. So you can see that I gave an example and I kind of explained my thinking. Here's the thinking that obviously, if there are many jobs farming, then you need more people to perform the job. That makes sense, right? So the more people you need, the more it turns into a city. Now, of course, giving one example and one reasoning is good. That would probably get you a 2 or a 3, depending on how well you write it. But to have a 4, you need more than one reasoning. So if I wanted to have a 4, which I would, if I was you, I would write another example of why the water is close to big cities. Well, I can also type and say people who look to build housing wanted to make sure that water was available for their homes. And then I can go into maybe the social studies I did read today or during this week and talk about Jamestown or talk about how Jamestown, big cities, because people move from England, right? So they moved across the sea and they usually stayed wherever they were closer to the border of the ocean. So that's just where they settled. So that would be another question. And I could put that as my number, as my middle as well. So the more reasons I have, and if they are correct based on the text that I read, then you will have a 4 as long as part number 3 is done, which is my conclusion. So my conclusion will just reinstate the kind of what I wrote about completely. So that conclusion will give you the main idea. We've learned about main idea. So what you're going to do is you're going to summarize everything into like one big main idea and make it sound good. So waterways are important to how cities come about because they provide a way for food as well as they can be near, well, that's just a way for food which provides, which allows for more farming to happen, and then more jobs are created, which in the end create high populations in a place. So I'm going to end it right there just because I think you get the idea. This obviously, this only has one example, so I will give it a 3. But if you have more examples, you can get a 4 by having an introduction, kind of like, what am I thinking that the answer is, or what is the answer? So I state it right there. Then I give examples, information, I explain why that is. And then the third part is your summary. And it explains the thinking behind it. So if you do this, you're going to have a 4. Let's make sure that we follow this pattern. You'll have an ERQ to answer with a short paragraph. So make sure that you are looking at it and that you read the article and then answer the question. It will be a very simple question. So if you follow the 1, 2, 3 steps of beginning, middle, and end, you will be able to complete it. Remember, you can also have this highlighted here, beginning, middle, and end, to make sure that you know what you're supposed to be doing. Good luck, guys.